Hey everybody, welcome to Chef Tina's Kitchen, and today we are going to be working with butternut squash. I know you have seen this in the grocery store and have wondered, what is it, what do I do with it? But it is a squash, just like pumpkin. It is so delicious, but a lot of people are not quite sure how to break it down in order to get to the nice, delicious, meaty orange flesh in the inside. So we're going to do that today. I'm going to show you how to break it down. And then I'm just going to do a simple roasted butternut squash. So to start off, you need a sharp knife. So all we're going to do are cut the ends off. And it's pretty tough to get through there, but okay. And so then most butternut squashes, the bottom is way more rounder than the top. But this is a pretty straight butternut squash. But typically, there's still an indentation here, so you want to cut it at that point because there are seeds at the bottom. So, see, there's seeds at the bottom. They're a little bit at the top, but we're going to get those. So we're going to cut both of these in half. Oh, I need a sharper knife. Okay. So once you get to the seeds, you want to take a spoon and you just want to scrape these seeds out. So they come out pretty easily. I usually have a bowl, but we're just going to put them on the cutting board today. Okay. So once that's done, the seeds are out. There's a skin around the outside. You want to cut this off. Be very careful. And so that's why you have flat sides on the bottom, so your squash is sturdy while you cut around the edge. Make sure you've got your fingers back, curled, so you won't cut those off too. So you're pretty much going to do the same thing to all of the pieces of the butternut squash. And you want to look at the bottom, make sure you've got that skin off on the bottom. Okay. Once it's all cleaned off, all you want to do is cut this into cubes. And actually you can leave them like this and bake them, but I like them in small cubes, so I'm going to cut mine into cubes. And once you've got all of your butternut squash cubed up, you're going to add some olive oil just to coat, salt and pepper. Pop it in the oven at 400 degrees until the butternut squash is nice and soft. That can take, depending upon how much squash you have, that can take anywhere from 45 minutes to about an hour. So let's roast some butternut squash. The squash is all chopped up, and so as you can see, there's a crazy amount of butternut squash. That was definitely a large squash, so all we're going to do is add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. And actually, one may be enough. So I always like to start with one, because you really only need enough just to coat the squash. And this is a lot of squash, so typically you just want to have one layer of squash in the pan. However, it's not very much more over that. So no, 1 tablespoon was more than enough to coat the butternut squash. Okay, and so we're going to season with a nice pinch of salt. a pinch and a quarter of a pinch, and some pepper. So butternut squash really doesn't need very much seasoning because it's really good on its own, and so I like to mix it around. I do from time to time add apples to the roasted butternut squash and roast the apples alongside with it so it gives a little bit of extra sweetness. So these are ready to go into the oven at 400 degrees. The butternut squash is done, roasted butternut squash. You know it's done when you stick a fork in your butternut squash and it comes right on out. So still kind of on the firm side, but just like when you're checking to see for mashed potatoes that are done. And so roasted. Oh, the butternut squash took literally about an hour. My pieces are fairly big. So if you cut your pieces smaller than what I have here, then it should take a little bit less time. But this took right at about an hour. And as you can see, I mean, my fork is literally just going right through the butternut squash. And that's what you want. So here's a video. So here's roasted butternut squash. Enjoy.